Hello, boys and girls. My name's Carl Ford, and I'm back. I'm back in my office. So last week, anyone that listened to this show will have noticed that I was in Milan, in the corner of a hotel room. Today, I am back in my office, and it feels good. So welcome to Captain's Log, an accountant's guide to the galaxy. And this one is start date 22/11/21. And I scratched my head a little bit about what to talk about today. I was struggling. And then I realized that I had a session booked in with my business coach, one of my 3 coaches that I work with. And I knew that they would be asking me, because it's that time of year, not about Christmas, but what am I going to do in 2023? And you know what it's like when you get a coach that asks you what you want to be doing. They don't want this woolly answer. They want something more detailed from you. Now, one of the things that I came up with that I wanted to do was I wanted to write a book. This is something that I've wanted to do since probably, let's say, 2018. Yeah, 2018. And never actually got round to doing it. I think I planned out some chapters, but that's as far as it went. And that's because I messed up. I didn't mess up because I didn't complete the book, because anyone that heard me talk at an expo recently knows I'm a big fan of a bail is not a fail, because sometimes you need to change course. But the reason that I failed was I wasn't being smart. I'd come up with a brain fart of an idea, started to implement it, and that was as far as it went. So I like formulas, not because I'm an accountant, although formulas do come in handy, obviously. I like formulas or formulaic processes because it makes things easier. So I'm a member of a networking, that's later, a networking organization, which is called Ford Networking. I've been a member of that for quite some time now. And with them, they do a thing called a foresight slot. So this is where it's meant to be an insight, not a sales pitch, but we all know that you're showcasing your skills. So obviously it's a stealth sales pitch. You have between 15 and 20 minutes to do the presentation, which is an interesting area of your life or special skills, something like that. And I've come up with a formula. So as long as I've got enough notice, and literally that now could be down to a few minutes, I can put a foresight together pretty much any subject, because I've got a formula that I'm just dropping different knowledge nuggets into the different containers. So I've built a formula to write a foresight, a short presentation. I now have a formula to do a keynote speech. So I can change the subject of the keynote, but the formula, the process, it stays the same. I have the same for blogging. It makes things so easy to have this formulaic approach to life. But I didn't have it for writing a book. I've never written a book myself. I went on a book writing course, and that helped me, but I never followed through with the process of what to do. I never put this formula in place. I never devised a formula, and it's a bit stupid, really. So I've said I'm going to address that, and I will be writing a book and releasing it in 2023. It will be published and available to purchase on the 13th of October 2023. It's a very important date for me, because it's my birthday, but also I'm a big fan of numbers. So it's Friday the 13th. Some people say that's unlucky. I'm not a Knights Templar, so it's not unlucky for me. I actually think it's a good day. 13 I consider to be quite a lucky number. But also, if you add 13 and 10 together, it's 23. So it's 23, 23. It just, some people go, you're just doing maths for the sake of it to make it work. Maybe I am. Who cares? It works for me. Right. So I've set that date. I've given a rough outline of what the book will be, and it's going to be loosely based on a bail is not a fail. So here's what I've done. I've put that out there. I've committed to it myself with a deadline. I've said what I'm going to do. I've given it the time frame, etc., etc., etc. Starts to sound a bit like a formula, doesn't it? Yeah. So let's just take a sip of water before we move on. One moment. If you watched on YouTube, you got to see me drink water. If that's on a podcast, there was some annoying silence. Right. It's an oldie but a goldie. There's a thing called SMART goals. And anyone that's done corporate training, I'm assured that you will have come across this before. SMART goals, they are supposed to be specific. They are supposed to be measurable. They are achievable. They are relevant, and they are timely. And do you know what? It works if you do this. So let's kind of just break that down a little bit. Specific. What is it that you're going to do? So writing a book is not a specific goal. It's better than saying you're going to do something, but it's not specific. This is why I have started to add a bit more flesh to the bones of this. So I have given it a working title. I've outlined how many chapters it's going to have. I've identified this sector it's going to address. So I'm being specific now with where I'm aiming this. And that's what I encourage you to do when you're setting your goals for 2023. Or in fact, any goal, but let's focus on 2023. Be specific with what you want to do. The more specific you can be, the easier this will get. Next, it needs to be something measurable. So I like to run, which is a weird statement in itself. I bet a lot of people scratch their head going, you like to what? No one likes to run. You do it because someone's chasing you or you're late. But I actually enjoy running. But you can't just go out for a run. It needs to be measurable. So it needs to be, I'm going to go out and I'm going to run 5K, or I'm going to go out and I'm going to run 10K or a half marathon or a marathon. There is a measurable distance to it, because otherwise, how would I know when to stop? How would I know what's enough? So it needs to be something that is measurable. So how much will you do? Also, how often? With the book, I've committed to one. That's it for now. In my head, in the background, I've got maybe 3 that I can think about. But for me, I'm committing to writing a book. So this is a one-off shot. The blogging side, with a business, we made a decision to put weekly blogs out. It's measurable. If we don't put one out, we can very easily measure that. So measure what your goals are going to achieve. How long, how often. It could be a personal goal for me would be to climb the 3 biggest peaks in the UK in 2023. That's measurable because there's 3 of them. If I wanted to be specific, I would say it's Ben Nevis, it's Scafell Pike, it's Snowdonia. I could add some more details as we work through the checklist. But you can apply this method to anything. So we've looked at it being a specific one. We've looked at it being measurable. Next up, it needs to be achievable. Now, this is a dodgy area. If I set the goal of saying in 2023, I want to fly to the moon, how confident am I that I could accomplish that? Gotta say, not very. So that's probably unachievable. I say probably, who knows? NASA have sent a rocket to the moon this year, but yeah, it's probably not achievable. If I said I'm going to wake up in the morning, that's very, very achievable. It takes no effort. Like my body will just naturally wake up once it's had enough sleep. The achievable bit needs to be a bit of a stretch. It needs to, I think, take you out of your comfort zone, but not too far. So like I say, me flying to the moon, not going to happen, is it? I have no desire to go to the moon. There's no atmosphere. Only joking. It's got to be achievable, but it's got to be a little stretch. So for me to do the mountain thing, I've already done Snowdon. I've done it many times. Scarfell Pike, I've done that. Ben Nevis, I've not. And I'm under no illusions that there'll be a challenge there because it's the biggest mountain in the UK. And it's described as having Arctic conditions for most of the year. So that will be a challenge, but it's achievable. Do I want to say I want to do the Three Peaks official 24-hour challenge? No, I don't. It's achievable. I could do it, but it has no motivation for me. But if I wanted something that really physically pushed me out of my comfort zone, it would be to do the Three Peaks in 3 days and camp in between. So that's an achievable goal because it's pushing me outside my comfort zone. It's achieving something. Not unachievable. I started to ramble a bit then. Yeah, I must be more specific with what I'm going to talk about. So let's be relevant, shall we? That's the next one. We've been smart. We've been specific. We've been measurable. We've been achievable. Now let's be relevant. So with relevance, is it worthwhile? Will it meet your needs? So if I said that I wanted to do the Three Peaks of the UK, and then I went up a big hill, I plan to go up one of the Yorkshire big hills. I don't think there's any mountains in Yorkshire, but there's some big hills. If I went up one of those, it's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, but it's not relevant, not at all. So make sure that whatever your goal is, it's relevant. With mine for the book, there's a relevance because I will be covering some business topics in there, but also it's addressing some personal motivation, some personal development. So it's about raising profile, and there's a direct link that I can make to my business. So make sure whatever you're looking to achieve, it's relevant. It doesn't have to be business relevant. It just has to be relevant to whatever you want to achieve. And then finally, out of this Smartie Pants recipe, timely. There needs to be some sort of times that are attached to it. So when will you do it? How long will it take you? And those are important things. This is something that with my first idea about doing the book back in 2017, 2018, I wasn't really. Well, no, it wasn't really. I didn't set a deadline. I'd set a vague idea in my head, and vague doesn't work because remember that first point, specific. So with the book this time, I have set a very specific date that I'm going to do it. And I encourage you to do the same. You can move this date if something changes because circumstances change. The Bank of England may be right. We may go into the worst recession known to mankind. We might be in 2 years of despair. Equally, maybe things pull around after 3 months. Maybe the autumn statement we had last week works and things change. So your timely one, it can change, but it has to be a specific date or a week. There has to be something to aim at. You can't just have, I'm going to write. Just saying I'm going to write a book in 2023 is not good enough, because you know what will happen is you won't do anything for 11 months, probably 11 months and 15 days. Then you'll be left with 2 weeks to sort it. You won't do it. So be specific with when you'll do it and also how long it will take you to do. So then you can start to plan in the time. So this is starting to become not just, this is how you set objectives, but this is starting to look like the makings of a formula for achieving things. And that's what I encourage you to do. Now is the perfect time to look at your goals that you want to achieve in 2023. You've got a week before December kicks in, 2 weeks, close to it. And by that point, people are starting to think about Christmas. You're not going to be stopping to plan for the year after. You just be thinking about, how can I have fun in this festive season? So now use this week or so as a way to plan what you want to do next year, because it gives you time to revise it in those quiet moments. So come up with what you want to do in 2023, make it specific, measurable, achievable, relevant. And that's how you get to be a smarty pants when you're setting your 2023 goals. Now, you can do this as an open exercise. I prefer to have a little bit more focus with it. So you could do things like a list of personal goals and some business goals. I think that gives it a little bit more structure, because why would you only aim to improve your business? Why wouldn't you aim to improve yourself or your life? And this is why I actually quite like to break the personal one down a bit more. So relationship goals, like how you interact with family, friends, etc. Health. These are all ones where you can set specific goals. And the more that you be specific with breaking it down from personal to a relationship, or personal into health, business, you can even break that down from business into marketing, or business into anything. Just the more you drill it down, the easier it is to come up with the ideas, and the easier it is to measure it as well. So I would encourage you to do this. Use this SMART way of setting objectives, and then break it down to the personal and business ones. It works. I've done this for years. I'm more focused and committed than ever to doing it. A lot of people said to me, Carl, how do you always do so much stuff? And the answer is simple: because I plan it. I plan it. I set my goals. It goes into my diary. I'm not saying that those things are there forever, because, like I say, things change. So plans need to change. But it's there, and that's how I achieve so much. And do you know what? I want to achieve so much more in 2023, which is why I'm going through this process now of being a smarty pants with setting these objectives. So that brings to pretty much the end of the podcast. There's a lot that's happened in the world of like accountancy recently. We've had about 1,000 chancellors. We've had 1 million changes to tax laws. They do now appear to be settling down. So rather than me going through it now in a couple of minutes, what I would urge you to do is go to the website, which is carlfordaccountancy.biz. And in the news section, you will see that we've done a handy summary of the points from the autumn statement. I will also drop a link into the show's description. So do go and have a look at that. It's well worth it, because there are quite a few changes that have happened, some good, some bad. It's probably not for me to get into it now. And to be fair, even if I did, it makes no difference at all what my opinion is of it. It's in place, and that's the thing. There's no point moaning about it. We just need to adapt. So I want to say a big thank you to everyone that's joined this show today. This has been a Captain's Log, and we've looked at being a smarty pants. So if you're listening on a podcast, please do give it a thumbs up, a like. If you're on YouTube, I'd love you to hit the subscribe button so you get a notification next time I go live. Please do drop me comments. They are appreciated, and I do take time to read them. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Carl Ford. I'm the Captain of Accountancy, and I'm signing out for today. And now it's time for the groovy outro.